only real promotional item that Metal Shop ever had was a black t-shirt. Well, we're going back to the good old days. Great shirt, low price, only available at ckmetalshop.com.
Hey, this is Jim Florentine, and you're watching CMS TV.
It's Kings of Marcia right here on your classic metal show with a song I can get behind, Guns and Ammunition.
I can get behind that too.
That one going up, I requested Dude Bro. Just before that, we heard a classic from Billy Squire with the Stroke. Going up, I request T Cuz Bruh. And we also heard Death Clock there with Crush the Industry for Anthony Carollo. And of course, we started things off with some Van Halen with the Where Have All the Good Times Gone?
That's right.
So there you are.
There it was. That was a good segment, actually.
Yeah. Well, I got something I want to address here real quick. Just a couple of things about, I'm going to pull an Eddie Trunk here.
All right.
Where I'm going to be.
Okay.
I haven't decided yet. This is just kind of putting you on notice. I don't think this is going to happen, but it could. I'm not really sure. I had gotten a text from Mr. Don Dokken this evening indicating he would like me to be with them in Williamsport, Pennsylvania next weekend.
Okay.
I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I haven't decided if I'm going to do this or not, so I will probably know by Monday.
Okay.
But anyway, Pat Stanton out there in the eastern Pennsylvania area says, hi, Neeley and Chris. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. The show always has great content with all kinds of different topics and conversations. It's always cool.
Thanks.
Neeley, if you're going to be with the Dokken gang next weekend in Williamsport, I hope to get a chance to say hi to you and maybe a quick picture with you.
Ooh.
I don't expect it, but if there's an opportunity, yeah, pal.
That's right.
A couple years ago, I got the chance to say hello to you at a Dokken show at Penn's Peak in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. Yes, I remember you, Pat. Me and Don were out back. Don was smoking a cancer stick, and Pat came up to say hello and shake a hand and tell me what a big fan of the show he is. So yes, I remember you, Pat. No request too late in the game this week. All the best to you and Chris. Hail and kill. So Pat, if I make the decision to be with the Dokken gang next weekend, I will definitely say hello to you and take a picture.
There you go. And if you want a picture with me, Pat, grab one off Facebook and Photoshop it.
Also, since we're talking about rocking with Dokken, I don't know if any of our fans will be doing this or not, because this seems like a very nostalgic cruise. But then again, maybe our fans will be into this. But I will be on the Ultimate 80s Party Cruise March 2nd through March 9th next year on the Royal Caribbean Explorer of the Seas with Dokken. I don't know if you want to pull that up or not real quick. You could see who's all on this, but it's being hosted by the original MTV VJs.
Ooh. What's it called?
It is called the80scruise.com. That's where you find it. The80scruise.com. And this leaves out of Miami, goes to Nassau, San Juan, and Puerto Plata. I think that's how you say that. There you go.
Puerto Plata. Nice.
Yeah. So Mr. Dokken has told me that I will be attending this with them.
Okay.
This is not specifically a metal thing. This is an 80s thing.
Well, docket
So,
not even listed.
Well, they are listed.
Where?
Um,
Not here.
well, they were on there earlier.
Oh, maybe also starring. Okay.
Also starring, I think.
Wow, the also starring is better than the regular.
Yeah.
All right, you must get me a Tapao ID from this girl.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I love me some Tapao.
Really?
I know that makes me totally faggy. I don't care.
That's just one of those guilty pleasures.
Fucking Heart and Soul was a great jam.
Okay.
You know that song? Get a little bit of
Yeah, I
heart
am
and
well
soul.
aware of that song. Yeah. But yes, I will be on this cruise.
What a strange lineup this
It
is.
is.
Now I'm looking at it.
It's the MTV video people, because it's being hosted by the MTV VJ,
Sure.
and so I will hopefully say hello to Mark Goodman and maybe get a picture with him, like Pat.
Please do.
Me.
And Honeymoon Suite, they're good.
So-
I wouldn't mind an ID from Curtis Blow either. Fuck
Really?
yeah.
Look at you. Maybe you
I
should-
wouldn't mind going on this cruise. This looks like a fun time for me. This is like
Yeah.
in my wheelhouse. Men at Work. I would be happy to see all these bands that I know you'll skip. I would love to see Sheila E. again, Men at Work, Christopher Cross. I could do with or without Adam Ant. I don't know about Erasure. It's a little gay for me. Yeah, this is this looks pretty fun, actually. Well, look at you, gonna go have some fun. Fuck yeah.
According to Mr. Dockin, we will talk soon about the cruise out of Florida. I'll send you the itinerary, and getting you to Florida, transportation, blah, blah, blah. We'll arrive the night before we leave.
Nice.
So I will be attending this 80s cruise in March.
Well, that looks like fun.
Believe me, it's just fun to be included.
Hell yeah. This will be fun. I'm telling you, this would be a lot of fun. Will you go and see all these bands, or will you just hang with the band?
I'll see as many as I can.
Yeah.
Because typically they play like on the main deck. I mean, the smaller ones, they play like in the small bar clubs,
Sure.
on the different decks and things. But yeah, definitely. I mean, I got friends there aside from the docking guys. Obviously, I know the Firehouse guys really well.
Sure.
And
Faster Pussycat, Tammy.
Yeah, I know Tammy. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be different.
And the Warrant guys, those guys too, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
And Colin Hay from Men at Work. I'm sure you're good buds with him.
I met Christopher Cross once.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I did when our friend Johnny Lightfoot invited me out to go see Air Supply.
Oh, yeah.
Christopher Cross was opening that show, and I got to say hello to him.
Nice.
So, whatever. I mean, it'll be interesting for sure.
Fuego. No Eddie Trunk, no rock cruise.
Yeah, well, you're right about that.
Well, good for you, man. And please go ahead and do next week as well, so that I can have a week off.
Well, like I said, I'll know Monday.
All right. Sounds good.
So yes, I may be flying out to Eastern Pennsylvania.
Well, that'll be fun.
To be with the Dockin and the Winger guys.
Nice. Oh, that's a good show.
Winger's also playing that show.
Okay, very cool.
But Williamsport is like such a remote place. I mean, there's really no easy way to get to Williamsport. You either got to fly into Scranton, Wilkes-Barre,
right,
or however you want to pronounce it,
right,
and drive over, or you fly into New York and drive down or whatever. But it's just sort of in one of those remote areas that's like not close to really anything.
Yeah.
And our good friend George Mihalovic, yeah, I think
the captain's dead.
Yeah, he's in that jar that Chris used to drink out of. Captain Q.
Captain Q. Yeah, the captain is dead.
But our good friend George Mahalovic from Aftershock, he's wanting to know, are you going to be going to this thing? Because I may be going out to that. So people want to know where I'm going to be. So
well, have fun.
I will let you know by Monday.
All right, very cool.
So we can figure out what's going on. But yeah, it was Taylor and I were going to fly out there, but she's got other things going on, and I was just like, do I want to fly out? But now that Don hit me up, he goes, dude, you coming to this? Is our last show for the year, and I've got you hooked up with everything. So
well, then there you go. So friends, no show next week because I'm not going to look for a guest.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I can't guarantee you one way or the other.
Right.
But just letting you know ahead of time. So
all good.
So those of you who may or may not attend that cruise in March, I will be on that cruise. So
very cool. Well,
those of you who are going to the show in Williamsport, Pennsylvania next weekend, there's a probability I might be there.
Okay.
I might be going to the show.
And those of you that are on locals, if Neeley is going, him and I will record something during the week, which we will release next week just for locals.
Right. There you are.
Because we will take care of the locals people.
What's going on. Just little tidbits of what's happening.
Very good. All good.
All right. So you spoke with Jim Florentine.
I did.
If you're not familiar with Jim Florentine, if you ever listened to Howard Stern show, or if you ever listened to Opie and Anthony, or if you ever watch Crank Yankers, or if you ever watch Barstool Sports, or if you ever
Gutfeld.
Gutfeld. Yeah, he was on Gutfeld. I showed that to a friend of mine this week, and he goes, I've seen that guy before. He's been on Gutfeld.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's probably where you saw him. Well, anyway, Chris had an opportunity to connect with Jim Florentine, who we were not aware was a fan of this show.
Yes.
And he overheard Chris and I talking about the desire to have Anthony Cumia be a guest on this show. And he basically reached out to Chris and said, hey, I can make that happen.
Yes.
It's like, really? It's like, okay.
And let's be honest. We both were looking for the setup.
Yes.
We both were like, all right, this is we're going to get paid back for all the Eddie Trunk slamming.
Right.
But it didn't turn out to be that at all. Jim was great. He was honestly, he was way easier to work with than most of the rock stars I deal with. That's for damn sure. Like, as far as doing the video and everything.
Yeah, right, of course.
He texted me. He's like, hey, I'll test it the day before, and I'll call you if there's any issues, and blah blah. He was like really like on top of it. So, and it went down. It was really a lot of fun. So,
well, in reality, a comedian like a Jim Florentine, or even your friend
Dave,
they're independent businessmen.
Sure.
And their appearances and their craft, wherever it is that they can promote it, is important.
Sure.
Big or small, whether it's a big venue or a smaller venue, because these guys are not getting commercial backing.
Right.
They're out there doing what they do. They're still slugging it out in the trenches. They're still playing the comedy clubs, the Ha Ha Hut or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. The Chuckle Hut.
They're trying to make their bones doing their craft. That's what they do. They're funny men,
Yeah.
And they're not knocking down millions of dollars. I mean, they're not Dane Cook in his prime. They're not Andrew Dice Clay in his prime.
No.
Where they're being paid, $1 million to play at the Madison Square Garden or something like that. These guys are still slugging it out.
They're hustling.
They're out there playing Kansas City on a Thursday night.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that. But they do it because A, it's their craft, and B, they have to make a living, and C, that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to take as Chris often says, I'm not going to take a job in a cubicle.
Yes.
And one of the things, if Jim, you're listening tonight, I don't know, but I listened to one of his podcast releases, and he talked about working on the dock at Roadway Express.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, I worked for Roadway for 6 years. I was a garage operations manager for Roadway as a very young man, but it just made me laugh when he goes, "Yeah, I was working at Roadway on the dock."
Right.
And they had a lot of freight one night. We got a lot of work in front of us, boys. He was just telling this whole story about it, and it just kind of made me laugh because, I worked at Roadway. I know what that's all about.
Yeah, no doubt. I definitely want to plug his podcast, by the way. It is so good.
Yeah, it's just, if you want a cynical take on the world, especially when it comes to social media, he definitely has his finger on that pulse.
Yes.
And definitely relates to me personally, because I hate social media with a passion. And
Right.
Jim knows how to really just hate that as much as I do, if not more.
Yep. Yeah. His podcast, by the way, if anybody wants to check it out, it's called Everybody is Awful. It's on every platform you would look for, except YouTube, which he did tell us is because he'll get canceled right away.
Yeah, well,
YouTube.
of course. He's like us. It's just like, well, I have to be really careful about what I say because the YouTube censors are going to take something I say because I use faggot. I use the word faggot, or I use the word, whatever. And that'll definitely get me canceled. And it's like, yeah, we understand what that's all about.
We're in the middle of a strike delay right now. We're still sitting on strike one. They still won't let us upload to their wonderful platform.
Right, of course.
Like we give two
but
fucks.
Rumble will let us do what we do.
Rumble is great. Odyssey is great. Player is great. Minds is great. I put it everywhere. Y'all can pick wherever you want. But YouTube, I don't give two fucks about, and I never will again because it's just useless. Rumble's our home. That's just it. But so anyway, yeah. So like you were saying, I did talk to Florentine during the week. And one of the things that came out that we'll get to right away, I have like 5 clips that we'll play. But one of the things was that he is a longer term, not long term, but a longer term fan of the CMS, which surprised me.
Yeah, when you told me that, I was just like, really?
Yeah, I was too.
Here's a guy who was a co-host of That Metal Show, which is the end all be all of all metal shows, right?
Right. Well, according to Eddie. But I was surprised because we've hammered that show and his buddy Eddie so many times. I really was like, he might have heard us once or twice, but then disconnected because we were so vicious to Eddie a lot of times. But he loves what we do. Well, I'll just play it, and you can tell me for yourself if you think that. You saw it. I think he's definitely being genuine here.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah. So, all right. So here's Jim Florentine talking about being a fan of the CMS.
Well, it's funny as fuck. I will say that, man. It is hilarious to watch. Not as funny as your podcast, though. I have to tell you, dude, and I am not bullshitting you because we're talking. I am telling you straight up. It's like you dove into my head and dug out my ideas and just put it on the podcast. Every single thing you say makes me laugh because it's so real and it is such a blunt, real reality of how fucked up people are these days. I'm gonna point to one specific thing that you were talking about a couple months ago when you were talking about vanity plates.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the jizz lord or whatever. and I'm watching that. I'm like, God damn it. That is exactly what I would think if I rolled up on that car. It's just funny, man.
No, and it's funny because I think I discovered you guys probably like 3-4 years ago. There was a clip on YouTube.
Okay.
And I'm like, man, these guys are fucking funny. I love their, their style, just fucking ripping everything apart and going. I'm like, so that's why I started listening to you guys. So I appreciate the it's tough to do. You could be so raw and honest on a podcast. To bring it on a comedy stage is different because you still got to get laughs. And if I just did that podcast on stage, most of the crowd would just be staring at me like, this guy, what is wrong with him? So yeah, it's tough to be as funny as people. Most guys are funnier on a podcast than they are on stage.
I don't know that I agree with that. Do you?
Well, I think in-person delivery is a little bit different than just talking off the top of your head and riffing.
Right.
Because I think and again, I'm not a comedian, but I'll make my point in a second, but to have a veteran comedian like a Jim Florentine
Mm-hmm.
say, you guys are fucking funny, that to me is like the ultimate compliment.
That's a great compliment.
I mean, because this guy, he's no newbie. He's been around for close to 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ever listened to Howard Stern back in the 90s, early 2000s, O&A, he was always a guest on those shows.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been around a long time. And for him to say that, I think you guys are fucking funny, to me, that's a nice compliment and you know, kind of a badge of honor to get that from a veteran comedian.
Yeah.
To say I listen to you guys because you're fucking funny. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, okay, cool.
I agree. I was like, whoa, that's
Wow,
awesome.
that was a nice compliment. So if you're listening, Jim, thank you. Appreciate that. But
Yeah,
anyway, regardless, getting back to your question,
yeah.
his podcast is not scripted. It's like what we do here every week. We kind of
Right.
talk off the top of our heads. We riff, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
I'm assuming just from, you know, listening to a Jim Norton or a Jim Florentine or anybody, they have a routine or they have a bit or they have a delivery or whatever. I agree with him that he can't just go up on stage and start riffing like he would do on a podcast, because people are like, where are you going with this?
Mm-hmm.
When you're on stage as a comedian, I think your jokes have to be a little more structured, and you sort of have to have like a bit or a routine
Sure.
or something like that. And I get what he's trying to say there. The only
Yeah, I do too.
person I relate to that kind of riffs off the top of his head, and we've talked about this recently because I've been so hooked on his videos that he releases every week is
Big J.
Big J Okerson,
Mm-hmm.
because he interacts with the crowd and he just sort of makes up shit
Mm-hmm.
on the fly based on the response from the person he's addressing in the crowd,
Sure.
you know. And you know, one thing I'm going to say about comedians in general, just from they're very intelligent.
Oh yeah.
They're very well read. They make references to social, political, historic, whatever. They got to know something
Mm-hmm.
in order to make their references.
Right.
And probably one of the best ones that I ever heard do that is Dennis Miller.
Okay.
Very, very smart.
Sure.
But Big J Okerson, smart as shit.
Yeah,
That
he is.
guy can reference song lyrics, historic references, pop culture things. And if you ever watch, and I encourage everybody who likes comedy to go seek out his little clips, because he kind of uploads like a 10-minute clip like a couple times a week
Mm-hmm.
from his gigs, where he just engages like audience members,
Sure.
and he makes a lot of references to social and historic and political and whatever. And if you're not up to date on that, maybe his jokes won't make sense.
Right.
But for somebody like myself, who I kind of keep up on a lot of that, funny as fuck.
Hell yeah.
Like, holy shit, you're quoting lyrics from, I don't know, Kajagoogoo,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. And it's just like, and if you don't know Kajagoogoo, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't click, but
But holy shit, you go, oh, Jesus Christ, you referenced that from 1987?
sure.
You know,
The other thing that makes a good comedian from an average or a bad one is the speed. The reaction speed that they have, that they just have all that on the tip tip of their tongue, man.
Well, which is why you and I both like Anthony Cumia.
Yeah.
He is fast as fuck.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, if you ever listen to the old O&A shows, whenever they had a guest in or they were talking about a topic or something, he would just throw something in there just so fast.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus Christ, where did you come up with that?
Same with Norton.
Exactly.
Norton is not, I mean, I've always tried to pattern myself after Norton. How many times have I said to you, I didn't feel like I was fast enough on the show?
Right.
I've said that a lot because I feel like if I start slowing down, that's just there's nothing that can take the humor out of a joke quicker than too much time before you tell it.
Yeah. Again, the delay kills it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're so fast that it gets lost.
Yeah, or that you can't get it out of your mouth fast enough. Yeah.
Well, you get it out and it's so blazing fast that people didn't have time to process it, to understand exactly what you said.
Believe me, I love when somebody puts up something in the chat room like a minute later. It's like, nobody got it, but I heard it. And they reference the joke and I'm like, yes, that's good. I love that.
That's exactly what I was going for.
That's what I love. If one person got it, I'm all good.
Right. So again, in January, I want to go see Big J with you.
Yeah.
You and I go to see Big J because I got to go see this guy. This guy cracks me the fuck up.
Sure. I'm in. I'm game.
All right, go ahead.
All right, well, talking to Jim, we'll play a couple of other clips that we hit along the way. One of them was we got talking a little bit about cancel culture. And I'm a believer that cancel culture with Trump getting elected is officially
over.
done.
I think it's fucking over. Thank God.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. Instead of Trump making America great again, Trump making America funny again.
Yes, thank God. Because we need it. So here is asking Florentine if we've hit the end of cancel culture.
If anything has come out of the election, it just seems like we finally hit the end of cancel culture, where people aren't going to buy this, well, I'm going to call you a name and you're going to back off anymore. Do you think that's going to reopen the door for comedy, where comedians can go back on stage and not have to worry about what they say anymore?
I think so. I definitely do. I think that everybody's sick of it. America's sick of it. They voted that way. And I really think that it's going to open up. And, what can they cry about anymore? Like, it's just, I went on 2 nights after the election, I went on stage in New York City, which is, 95% liberal.
Right.
The audience is from 22 to 30. And I said, look, I'm from New Jersey. And I know you're thinking I voted for Trump. I did. And half the crowd went crazy, which I thought I'm going to have to dig myself out of a hole here by just saying that. These younger people, I think they're into it. They're not into the censorship. This new generation coming up, I see they don't get offended by it. They're sick of the he, she, they, them, all that BS. They laugh at funny videos. They just watch YouTube kids, pulling pranks on each other. So I really think it's starting to turn. It's that Gen Z or Gen X or whatever, the mid 30s to mid 40s. Right. That generation screwed everything up. They set up all the social media and they were offended by everything. And there's nothing, but this new generation is like, you guys are a bunch of pussies. This stuff is funny. So I really think it's starting to change. Yeah. And as far as getting canceled, what are you going to do? All comedians could just build their own platform. We don't care. Look at Tony Hinchcliffe.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have cost Trump the election with that joke, and he didn't. And more Puerto Ricans voted for him. And Tony just came out yesterday. He's like, yeah, I don't care. I don't apologize to nobody. So it's a good sign.
Don't disagree with any of that.
Well, speaking of that, I've seen some commentary and some videos out there that the most outspoken liberal left lunatic out there is that fucking AOC, which you had a hard on for.
Yeah.
She removed her her pronouns from her social media.
Yeah, because
Did you see that?
I did see that, yeah.
She took that off of her Twitter or her X feed. She took that off her social media. And she not long ago apologized the fact that it wasn't displayed on her social media. Now it's gone.
Right.
Gone. And people are reading the tea leaves or the writing on the wall and going, oh shit, there's a wind of change, as the Scorpions once sang.
Yeah. New sheriff in town, and he don't play those games.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, we're not a bunch of faggots here. Get in, pussy. We're making America great again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, all right. So moving forward, another question that I asked Jim was, I brought up the fact.
Wait a minute. I want you to preference this correctly. This is the question that I asked Jim.
When I was chatting with Jim Florentine, I decided to talk about how we beat up Don Jameson sometimes. And so I just asked him, I said, are metal jokes relatable? Because I mean, that's been kind of the argument you and I have had about Jameson is, A, we don't find the jokes to be super funny, but B, it's like no one's going to get it.
Yeah, because it's a very niche thing.
Yeah.
And he supposedly is trying to appeal to a wider audience.
Yeah.
So if you don't follow metal or classic metal or whatever, you probably won't get the joke because what's this guy talking about?
Who the fuck is Winger? You know, you know, at this point in the game, it's like, you know, how is a Winger joke going to be good? Good point. I'll this real quick. Good point. Our nephew, my good friend Jim Florentine. Exactly right.
My good friend
good friend Jim Florentine said.
Yeah. Now Jim Florentine is part of the Classic Metal Show,
right.
not that metal show.
CMS friend Jim Florentine of the Classic Metal Show fame.
Right.
All right. Well, here's Jim talking about metal jokes being relatable.
Well, dude, let's turn to metal real quick since you are a metalhead. I like the fact that every once in a while you throw a metal joke in there. I don't like the way your buddy Don Jameson does it, where his whole act turns into a metal thing, because it's like that's eliminating 80% of the audience before go. You know, the young kids that don't remember Winger don't get his act, you know. But I love the fact that, and again, I think it just goes to the relatability, because I can relate to what you're saying. Do you find a lot of that a lot of metalheads are attracted to your comedy because they can relate to you?
I don't know. You know, it's weird when we started doing that metal show, these guys, I was already doing comedy over 20 years, and all of a sudden they'd start coming out to the show. I didn't even know you were a comedian. These guys had no idea. Now they come and they like it. But I always know, even if I did a show in New York City, I said, you know, AC/DC, half the crowd's like, I think that my dad likes that band. I'm not sure. So I always kept that stuff out of my act. So I'm like, I got to relate to everybody. Believe me, I want to talk about Janet Gare's, you know, auditioning for Dancing with the Stars when I go see a Maiden show, and it fucking drives me nuts. And I got to watch the show like this because I can't look at that side of the stage. But no one else is going to get it unless it's a room full of metalheads. So I just kind of keep it out of my. People get mad, like, how come you didn't talk about metal? 5 guys in an Iron Maiden shirt. I go, because no one knows what I'm talking about except for you 5. So I keep it more general than that. But Don also opens for a lot of bands. Yeah. So he goes on the road. So he has to, you know, going up there as a comic, he can't go, who's married in here? No one, you know, like, come on, just let's get to the band. So I understand what he does. But it's funny because when he opens for me and we do like a metal, like venue or something like that, or we're opening for a band, he's got all the metal jokes. And then I have to go on. I'm like, man, I got what they're going to be like. What is this guy talking about his kid for?
Right.
I want to hear some Metallica jokes.
Right.
So there you go.
Yeah, that's got to be a tough gig, man. I mean, you and I have been to a lot of shows, and we've seen some openers to where, you know, they try to bring a comedian out in front of a metal show,
or
a music related show, and it's like, why do they have a comedian standing up here telling jokes before a music show? Why don't they have a musical act opening up?
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of a weird combination. you know?
Mm-hmm. No,
unless,
it is.
Unless it's Sam Kinison, who was kind of known as the hard rock or metal comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else could fill that shoes, you know, because Sam Kinison kind of had the look and the life and the devil may care attitude and the, you know, fuck you. And
Sure.
I'm out doing snort and blow after the, you know, before the show and all this and stuff. But that was a more over the top bombastic time.
Sure.
But there's not a comedian out there that has that reputation of just being a wild, crazy guy.
Right. I agree.
Oh yeah, that painter. I remember that
painter at the kitchens. That's bad.
That was just
dumb.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's just dumb.
Yeah, I remember that. Thanks for foreheady trunk, but damn, I remember that. I was just like, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah, it's stupid. I forget who did I see that did the same thing. It was like Mudvayne or somebody brought a painter out, and I was like, what are you doing? No one gives a shit. Yeah. But to be honest, I saw Jim Brewer with opening for Metallica at the last time not the last time, but 2 times ago when I saw Metallica, and no one gave a fuck. No one listened. No one cared. No one was listening to the jokes and going, oh my God, this guy's fucking killing. It just wasn't, it's not the right crowd.
Yeah. It's just like, where's Metallica? Why is this guy out here? And this goes back to, a show that you and I both went to, not together, but collectively we went to Motley Crue at the CSU Convocation Center, where they had that rapper guy doing some shit from a cherry picker up in the over the crowd. He was in this bucket doing this mixing shit.
Yeah, it was dumb
because it was a Tommy Lee thing, and it was just like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah, well, Guns N' Roses, remember they had the guy from Beastie Boys or something. When they did the first tour with Buckethead in 2001, they had like a scratch rapper. It was like, what the fuck is this? It's fucking terrible. But all right, well, moving forward, I did ask Jim. This is another pet peeve of mine and yours, and a great answer here. I asked Jim what he thought about female comics.
All right, I know
because we hate them.
You're not a fan.
No, I'm not. Are you?
Not particularly. There's one or two that kind of get a little edgy now and again, but for the most part, they're not that edgy.
They're not funny.
No,
I hate them.
Well, to be relatable, the movie The Hangover was a huge hit, and they tried to counter that with the female version of that. What the hell was the name of that movie? The Bride movie.
Anyway, doesn't matter. I'll never watch it.
They tried to counter it, and it just wasn't funny.
Right, of course not. Women aren't funny. And female comedians, say, as you'll hear here, they have the same fucking act every time. Every one of them has the same fucking act. They're not funny. When you and I saw Chris Porter.
Yeah, Chris Porter.
They had that female comedian that did the same act as every other fucking comedian. And Florentine hits on this really, really hard, which I love. So let's check this out. This is Jim Florentine on female comics.
Go the female comedian talking about your kids constantly. Oh, I'm gonna have another baby.
Well, I love how the women do.
We're not seeing it, Chris.
Oh, you're not? Oh, sorry. Let me restart that. There it is.
There you go. Now you're getting into
Well, I was seeing it, goddammit.
Well, I was watching myself.
That's right.
Interviewing my good friend.
My pal, Jim Florentine. You're damn right. All right, let's try this again. Here we go.
Well, just don't go the female comedian route, talking about your kids constantly. Oh, I'm going to have another baby. And
Well, I love how the women do. They have to filmed the comedy special when they're pregnant.
Yeah.
There's been like 6 of them already.
Dude, I can't. I probably shouldn't say it, but I'm going to. I hate women comics. They're not funny. To me, they're not fun. Every time I see them, it's the same act. It's, I'm having a baby. These are the reasons my husband doesn't want to fuck me while I'm having a baby. And I'm fat. And I can't wait till my little all-star is born. That is the blueprint for it. Every time I've seen a female comic, that's what we get. And it's awful.
And look, I have a kid, if I talk about him on stage, it's usually, it's edgy. It's like, I can't believe he said that about his son.
Right.
I'm talking about my kid, masturbating and being in a shower, and I can't even watch a movie with him anymore because he's in there for hours when a good looking girl comes on the screen. Like, if I'm going to talk about my kid, I'm talking about that. I'm not talking about he's great in basketball and I'm happy for him. I talk about coaching his rec basketball team and only draft kids that have hot moms. I'm going in that direction. Like, oh, that's a good idea.
So there you go. So he's agreeing, I think, with me on that one.
Well, I think he was taking a swipe at the comedian Ollie Wong.
Okay.
Because she did a comedy special where she was basically 7 or 8 months pregnant.
Okay. And
she was out there with her big belly, and I think it was called Baby Cobra. And she talked about, her and her husband who, were married for basically 10 years. And she was just talking about extolling the virtues of marriage and all this other bullshit. Well, apparently she got divorced this year.
Oh.
And she is now hooked up with Bill Hader.
Okay.
You know who that is, right?
I do not know who Bill
Barry.
Hader is.
You know the show Barry?
Yeah, I know Barry. Yeah.
Is
that Barry?
Yeah, him.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So she basically banged out a couple of kids with her engineer husband.
Okay.
And now she's divorced. She did a couple, 2 or 3 stand-up specials.
Sure.
And now she's hooked up with this Bill Hader guy.
Yeah. So she proved to herself she wasn't funny, so she married somebody with money.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, makes sense. We all know you watch Hannah Gatsby. Yeah, right.
You're a big fan.
Or Tig Notaro. Good point. Whoever said
Right.
that one. Tig Notaro. Ugh.
Right.
Ugh.
Well,
Awful.
she was also in that movie. Remember that movie where what was it called? Road Rage or some shit?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that movie that you suggested that I watch where some guy was backing out of a parking space at like a Home Depot and somebody cut him off and he chased her down?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. I do remember
her.
that.
That's her.
Okay.
And then they basically were at each other constantly and they got crashed out in a desert.
Right. I do remember. Yeah. I don't remember what that movie was called. Maybe it might have been Road Rage or something.
Road Rage.
Yeah.
Well, that
It was on
her.
Netflix or something.
Yeah. That was her.
Okay. Well, good for her. Now she's in Hollywood.
Yeah, well, going back to Jim Florentine's reference about doing a comedy special while you're pregnant.
Sure.
He's making a swipe at Ollie Wong.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it. But I believe both in my point and Jim's. They're not fucking funny.
Well, I will tell you, getting back to Ollie Wong, as far as her delivery and her subject material is concerned, she is pretty filthy.
I can live with them sometimes, but like, what's the other girl? The one that's real famous right now for doing she did the Tom Brady roast.
Oh,
Nikki Glazer.
She's
pretty funny sometimes.
And Laura, I think her name is Laura Schlesinger.
Oh, Laura Schlesinger, yeah.
Yeah, I think she can be kind of funny now and again, but
yeah.
But that's only if they get real base and get kind of dirty.
Yeah.
But
overall, if I could see a rookie guy comic or a seasoned female comic, I'll go for the rookie guy comic. Because at least I don't have to deal with fucking home shit that I don't care about. I really don't care that your tits are getting saggy and that your husband doesn't want to touch you because there's milk fucking dripping out of you.
Right.
I don't care. You know, I mean, that's always been my point to it is even when we saw that chick at Chris Porter,
Yes.
remember how I just wanted to leave?
Yeah, because she was talking about how she stopped drinking and dropped like 25 pounds, and
I was like, and she's still fat, and it was like, Jesus Christ, shut up. Shut the fuck up. Stupid cunt. Ugh, hate him. Anyway, last clip of the night for Jim Florentine. Right. And of course, you can check out this interview with Jim in a couple of weeks on Chris Hagan Presents. But this is the last one I'll give to you guys. Obviously, to do an interview with Jim Florentine for the Classic Metal Show, there's one topic that has to be addressed. That metal show.
Right.
And I asked Jim point blank, is it coming back?
Oh, I get asked about that every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Which surprised me. His answer did surprise me when he said that. But he at least was way more honest than we've ever heard anybody else that's been on that show. So he gives the real. So I'll play this and then we'll talk about it. Here we go.
Dude, I gotta ask, since we're talking about TV, and I'm sure since you listen to us, you've heard us, we bust on you guys and immensely about that metal show coming back. Is it coming back or not?
It's unbelievable. I mean, I get probably 5 times a day still. People, just fans of the show. That show was great. How come you don't bring it back? It's like, first of all, I'm like, look, it's not up to me.
Right.
And, we're just, we're actors basically that got fired from a TV show. You can't go to the guys from The Sopranos, you should bring The Sopranos back. It doesn't work that way, You know what I always do now? I mess with people. I go, Eddie's going to make a huge announcement in about a week. He knows he's keeping it from me and Don. So listen to his show or email him or send him a Twitter or something like that, a tweet, because he's got a big announcement. I just push it on him and he's like, don't listen to him. No, it's obviously not coming back. I mean,
right.
VH1 still owns the rights to it. We could change the name if, possible, but, it's on nobody's radar.
Well, and changing I mean, the name is what people know. I mean, you guys know when you did That Rocks thing, it ain't as easy as just changing the name and putting the 3 faces in there. It's it's starting over. It's literally back to the starting line, and that's difficult. And it's even more difficult in today's world, where with a lot of the bands that you would be covering are either retiring or sucking, but still continuing, and that neither one is good for what you guys would be trying to do.
Look, we were on for like 7 years. We did like 14 seasons. I mean, every season that we got renewed, I'm like, this is beautiful. Like,
right.
It's gonna end soon. I can't believe it's been on this long. We're constantly fighting with them. The network wasn't really behind us. They didn't know what they were doing. I almost got fired a bunch of times just for fighting back. Because when you work for a corporation, they're like, no, you got to kiss our ass and whatever we tell you. And believe me, if they wanted to do that show, we would have been off the air. The way they wanted to, we would have been off the air by season 2.
So there you go.
Well, that just goes to show you what we've said for forever and a day.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get corporate involved and money involved, and we should have a say in how it should go and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
It doesn't become fun. It's no longer fun. It's not fun at all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we want you to say this, and we want you to be in this category, and we want you to stay in this lane, and we want you to... There's no spontaneity to it all. It's just like, I'm fulfilling a contractual obligation.
Right.
But it's not genuine. I'm not happy with this. It's just like, I'll do it for a paycheck, but it's boring.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it just, and he goes on, and you heard it, so he talks about some of the ideas that they had, and it was really bad.
Yeah, but again, when you get people who put the finances behind what you're doing, and they have a say-so, but they don't have really a sense of how it really needs to go,
mm-hmm.
then it becomes more of a job than something you're passionate about. It's just like, Well, if this is the product you think we need to deliver, I guess we'll do it, but I don't think that's what the fans really want.
Right.
Well, this is what the commercial sponsors want, and it's like, okay, and you just do it.
Yeah. You cash your checks.
That's it.
Yeah, but in any event, that is the Jim Florentine review for now.
Yeah.
I think it launches on December 6th, if I'm not mistaken. That's
all right. Well, again, this goes back to what we always say is that Jim is a independent businessman as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
And and he has to look out for himself. So he's going to do what he believes is best for his career path, not what somebody is steering him to do for a paycheck.
Sure.
And he understands that. So he's got his independent podcast with People Are Awful.
Everybody is awful.
Everybody is awful.
That's right.
Okay. And go listen to it. It's on Spotify. It's on various outlets.
Yeah, it's on all of them.
I listen to it on Spotify. I have a Spotify account.
Sure.
So go listen to it. It's kind of fun. If you hate social media like me, you'll appreciate his commentary.
Or if you just hate people, because I hate people and I love it. So,
well, again, I just mentioned the whole social media angle because basically he gleans a lot of his commentary off the shit that he sees on social media, because people, for some reason, and I don't understand it even to this day, why people feel or believe that they need to share every aspect of their daily life on social media. It's
I don't get it.
I don't get it.
It is.
What are you looking for? Are you looking for some kind of sympathy, or are you looking for somebody to validate you somehow through your social media posts or whatever the case may be? But he basically takes that and just rips that to shreds.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, well, glad to have Jim Florentine. Welcome aboard.
Yes. Thanks for watching or listening.
Welcome aboard, Jim. If you're
right.
listening now, feel free to call in.
Yeah, please do.
All right.
All right, everybody. If you go to Comedy Genius, comedygeni.us, you can get The King, the movie that I made, for only $5. Isn't that right? It's so good.
It's the best movie I've ever seen.
Bro, buy it. $5. It's only $5.
One Lincoln buck.
And Matt is a bum in it, an AIDS bum.
That's right. So go Comedy Genius, Comedy Genius, Comedy Genius. That's the .us at the end. $5.